Sorry.
This is Patrick. The links are restricted when I click on them. See, look, I clicked on one of them, and it says this video is restricted.
On YouTube, interesting. Can you go back through your path so that I can see which one?
So I clicked this one, then I clicked this one, and they're both restricted.
Tag. Let me see if there's anything I can do about that. Thank you, Edie.
You're welcome. Oh, I fixed it. I was on the wrong account. Yep.
Just for a few minutes, close your computer so that we can get a focus, and I'll tell you what we're doing for the last 45 minutes. Come on back to your seat if you're away. Ten, 9, 3, close the computer, 8, 7, Max, waiting for you. Noah, 3, 2, 1. We're going to go back to exploring in a moment, but I want to give it more of a focus. So this time you are poking around, and several of you have links, and I appreciate your letting me know about that. Every year in June, we put things away for the summer, and they sit there. And funny thing is, the internet does not stop for summer vacation, does it? And so some links change over that time. So I have not checked all of the links yet. If you continue to find any dead ones, let me know. Sometimes I'll just get rid of the link. Other times I'll see if I can refresh it because it was such an important one. We are about to go take a huge leap of history from the end of the Revolutionary War and the beginning of a country, which all happened to, but the whole constitutional uproar had died down by 1791. How many more years until 1800? 9 of them. By 1800, we are already on our second president. Can you name him? John Adams. We do not yet have our third president. Can you name him?
Jefferson.
And there are going to be a handful of other presidents before, lo and behold, our country is back at war. But because we're down to the last month of school, everybody, we are taking this gigantic step. We're almost going from revolutionary to civil war and missing a huge chunk of fascinating American history because during this time, the Louisiana Purchase is made. The Lewis and Clark expedition heads west. They meet natives for the first time. They see the Rocky Mountains for the first time. They find out how can we get through these mountains, and they make maps and maps and maps. And they collect leaves and sticks and rocks and animal carcasses, and they bring back some live animals as well. But the maps and specimens and their diaries and their travels. Lewis and Clark were the first great westward explorers, and they were laying the groundwork for what was about to happen immediately thereafter. The Louisiana Purchase was made in 1803. By 1804, Lewis and Clark were already in their little canoes with their core of discovery. 40 men headed to the wilderness. Not a road, not a bridge. Not even the diaries of somebody who went before them to tell them, don't take this river branch. So they're out there. They don't know which river branch to take. They don't know where the waterfalls are that could kill them all. They don't know where the hostile Indian tribes are. So there's some of these incredibly brave men. So for 2 years, they travel from the center part of the continent westward. What happens after they come back is this amazing, it's like a bag of popcorn in the hottest microwave you've ever seen. Because what happens as a result of their bringing back maps and news of mostly friendly natives, or natives who are at least willing to let you alone? That is actually, I think, what making me in this table. I apologize. I don't know if it really is. Anyway, westward movement is what happens in this country. New states pop up. Boom, 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 boom. So we go from 13 to suddenly, oh wow, now we have 17. Oh my, now we're up to 20. Oh, jeepers creepers, here we are at 23. The number goes up and up and up. The flag over there is getting redesigned and redesigned and redesigned from this little guy, the original 13 colonies, up to what we now have 50. They keep redesigning it, new states, new state constitutions, and every single new state to join the Union has to make a decision. Are we a slave or are we free?
I saw somebody with like a 30-star flag.
So, slavery is going strong during this time. Our country is continuing to benefit from the labor of slaves. However, many, many, many people of all colors are saying, let's get out of this eastern part of the continent. Let's go to this new place where they say a lot of us can get free land if we just stake our claim. Staking your claim means literally taking wooden stakes and a hammer and going and driving a stake in. This is the corner of my property. And the government said I could have 40 acres. So we're going to measure 40 acres this direction, and we're going to hammer in our next stake, and then we're going to turn another 90-degree angle, 40 acres. Now you can do 40 acres by 40 acres. If you give 40 acres, it's probably more like 4 acres by 10 acres.
Yeah.
At any rate, they stake their claim. They build their little cabin. They deal with whatever comes, and they are the pioneers of America. So our country has been growing and growing and growing. And as it grows, it's having growing pains. Part of it is because some states are happy to say we're a slave state, but it's okay if others choose the other way. Some people were open-minded. They said it's okay for us to have some slave states and some free states. Other people said, it is not right for our country to have any slaves whatsoever. Forget the states' rights, the federal government needs to outlaw slavery. Does that make sense? So we're starting to see a struggle between states' rights and the federal law. So what you're going to be doing during this unit, part of it is language arts and part of it is social studies. So with your teacher, Ms. Marzullo, you're going to be reading a novel. Has she already talked to you at all about this? Okay. Well, she and I have been working together, and your class is going to put together a production based on a novel, and my class is going to put together a production based on a novel. And our intention, if you guys can help us move forward with this, it's going to be an intense month of work, that we're going to be doing some Civil War research about the realities of the Civil War, but then we're going to be putting together these fictitious presentations. And our intent is to have you perform these for an audience the last week of school. The audience is going to include, in the front row, my class. My class will watch you, and you guys will watch my class, right? But that's not a real audience. That's a peer audience. We're inviting your parents as soon as we have a date. Now, we don't have a date selected yet, so a ton of work has to happen. This teacher's running down, hey, Mr. Puddle, can we please use the stage? And he has to figure out where to have PE instead. And we'll figure out a rehearsal schedule. We'll figure out a writing schedule. We'll figure all of the scheduling out. You guys are going to be putting on The Mostly True Adventures of Homer Keats Biggs, an awesome novel. Yes. My class is putting on one called Bull Run. Now, here's what I want to tell you at the very beginning of this whole thing. Bull Run is the name of the first battle of the Civil War. Later on, there was a second battle of Bull Run. And at that time, when they had a second one, they had to go back and call the first battle of Bull Run the first battle of Bull Run. Before that, it was just the battle of Bull Run. Now, my play will teach you, but we're also going to learn in social studies class, what happened at the Battle of Bull Run. It was the first one. It was pretty important, and it had some really weird, different characteristics about it, because at this point, people didn't realize what war was. It's the first battle of war. Most people have never seen war in their lives. By the time your novel comes along, this one happens to end up around a little place called Gettysburg. And you know Gettysburg was one of the biggest, most serious battles of the war. Now, it's kind of cool because this is not some serious novel. You are going to read this. It's not quite as yuck it up as Grimm is, but it's got this light tone. The main character is he brags on being a great liar. That's why it's the Mostly True Adventures of Homer Biggs. Because he prides himself on his ability to tell big whoppers. And so you kind of rolling along in this novel and going, what a fun character. Oh my gosh, that happened? Oh my gosh, that happened? No. There are all these great events that happen in here, but then suddenly, we land in the middle of a really serious battle, kids. And so when you get to that point, you're going to understand how Ms. Marzullo is planning to break this novel in bits and pieces and use this as the basis of something you're going to perform. Let's go back to that audience, front row, Patrick's class. Then, 4th and 5th graders from Brunson Elementary. Then, mom's, dad's, grandma's, grandpa's, sister's, brothers, whatever you decide to have come. All of this is going to be done in some way similar to what you did with Charlie and Ebony. In that, it is going to be student run. But because it's being done in the classroom and because we're together on a daily basis, we're going to take it. I keep moving back here. I started gathering costume bits and pieces, not because I'm going to provide them to you, but because at some point along this line, we need to have everybody who is an actor in their play to plan their costume. There are going to be jobs for people also that are production jobs. not everybody aspires to be out there center stage, being the actor. Some people are far more happy being the behind the scenes person who helps with costumes, helps with props, helps with scene setting up the stage. We'll have a person draw the curtain, of course, but that's not a whole job, While somebody's over here memorizing their role, it's like, well, I'm just waiting for the next 6 days until it's time for me to pull the curtain. So everybody's gonna have a bunch of jobs helping get this production together. Lola,
So are we making the scripts or do you have scripts?
you are making the scripts, and that's why you're reading the novels. So, kids, I'm not gonna give you any more details about it because the Homer P. Fig part of it is going to be your language arts part that you do with Ms. Marzillo. In this classroom, we're going to be studying the war itself, and the biggest thing that we study with the Civil War is what happened before it and what happened after it. We're not going to spend a lot of time, I'm talking to Noah right now, but everybody too. We're not going to spend a lot of time going, oh, Antietam, that's a famous battle. Let's study the Battle of Antietam. We're not going to be doing that. I know he's weeping. But here's the deal. For those of you who are true fans, you've been dying for this moment, I want you to know that you have extra credit opportunities to do this on your own. And some of the links you can take from my page, they'll link you in a direction and you can link off and link off. But mostly, kids, I want for us to understand what caused it. Remember we said we study history in part to understand why we're the way we are and to try to prevent the bad stuff from happening again. We don't want a civil war again. And yet, it is a possibility. If it could happen then, it could happen now. If it could happen then, it could happen in the future. So we want to understand what caused a country to have such huge problems. So problems that lasted for so long and that were so serious that they actually caused part of our country to say, we're no longer a part of this country. We are committing treason. We are rejecting the Constitution. We are writing our own Constitution. And that's what they did. Great.
So I have this book. It's like, it has like every single one of the battles and stuff, and it has like 10 pages to 20 pages on each of them, and it like describes like the facts, who won, all the casualties, what guns they had, what were the odds of the other side winning and stuff. That's all.
This is it. Who chose to look at books from our bookshelf during this time? Most people did links, but everybody, I want to show you this too. Part of the reason we are jumping over the Louisiana Purchase and the westward movement, the whole pioneer days part of our history, which is awesome. I love studying that. But when you put on your play a Homer P. Fig, you want to know a lot about the Civil War. Part of pleating a good costume, part of figuring out how to say your part, how to write your part, how to help other people edit, even their acting and the way they stand and stuff, is understanding the time. The more you can expose yourself to photographs, real writing from that time, the way people really spoke, the way they really spelled, it's going to improve what you're able to do. So I've put over here, this is one of my favorites. It is enormous and it is filled with graphics. You need to see real photographs of people. Look at the sorts of facial expressions they had, the way their uniforms are, the way they pose themselves. Did that guy have his little hand in his little?
Yes.
Yeah, that was one of those old-fashioned poses. So fascinating information of all kinds. And these, are the kind of book where you flip through. This one is so well loved that the cover is missing, but I'm keeping it because I love the contents. Again, it is primarily artworks, real graphic, and just a tiny bit of text with an overview of some interesting topics. One of my faves over here was given to me by Mrs. A. Anybody remember her? Okay, there's the A for Anderson. She gave me this book because she wasn't teaching Civil War. See, it says D. Anderson. And this one is a photo biography of Abraham Lincoln. Photo biography. Life in pictures. That's what that means. Photo is pictures. So here he is with his son. This is a famous picture taken at the White House while Lincoln was in office. And one of the things this shows is what it was like when he was born in his rude little log cabin in 1803. And, who his parents were and all that, blah, 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 blah. But then we finally get to what did he look like when he was elected president? What did he look like 2 years after that? And what did he look like the week before he was assassinated? This is a battle scene. You're going to see a lot of scenes from battlefields. Remember we said photographers had to go out after battle because of photographs were too blurry when things moved. So they could go out onto a battlefield after there were people who had fallen there and take pictures of that. So just be warned, you may see a little bit of that as you're flipping through the books. But just things like, how did soldiers stand at attention back then? And what did their uniforms look like? And how come all those Southern soldiers aren't even wearing uniforms? You're just going to notice things as you look at the books. So these will be here during this entire unit. Haywood.
You said something about how Lincoln looked. I remember reading this thing. It was like in a history book or something about President Lincoln. And this might be true, but the little girl had sent him a letter saying that all of the presidents, or all of the presidents before him, had no facial hair. And the little girl asked President Lincoln if he could grow a beard.
That's right. And he did it.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of guy he was.
Yeah.
So to give you a super brief overview of what we're skipping, would you grab one of these from your box? Find pages 30 and 31. Actually, start on 28 and 29. On 28, point to where it says Louisiana Purchase and raise your hand when you've got what year did the Louisiana Purchase take place, Herman? Exactly right. And what you notice is that the purple piece is the purchase itself. That is what the U.S. bought from Napoleon. After the American Revolution, our country had enormous war debt. France, on its side of the ocean, had enormous war debt from other wars that Napoleon had been waging in Europe. And so he's kind of looking around through all the things that his country owns, saying, can we sell anything off and get some money to pay off our war debts? And Napoleon finds this huge hunk of land on the North American continent that was owned by France. And he said, maybe this is where I can get some money and pay off those debts. Thomas Jefferson, who was the president at the time, jumps all over it because he sees an opportunity. Now, he's got a problem. The Congress does not really think it's a great purchase. They do not want to approve the millions of dollars to purchase this land, so they're fighting him. Remember this whole checks and balances thing? So I'm not going to try to explain the whole process, but it was some real back and forth before basically Jefferson sort of sneaked and made this purchase, and then he apologized to Congress later on. And then Congress ends up forgiving him because they see what it is after Lewis and Clark come back. how many years before the United States map here? From this map above to this map below, how many years elapsed, Zach? 17 years. What notices do you, what changes do you notice? From top map, Louisiana Purchase, to bottom map. Taylor?
The Gate, Oregon.
Good, good. So this, kids, is about where they're gonna open up the Oregon Trail now, right? This is where the huge wave of pioneers starts heading west. Some are heading to Oregon, some are heading just westward, and they end up in California, where in 1848, a gigantic nugget of gold is found, kicking off the California Gold Rush. And so before the Civil War, California becomes a state. It isn't quite yet in this picture, is it? Not yet by 1820, but real close. Do you notice any other new states that have kind of been added to the map? 3, are you looking? Are you comparing the top one to the bottom one? I'm trying to look for stuff. Lola, what do you notice?
Louisiana.
Absolutely.
I have a question. Well, who was Tom? I know who Thomas Jefferson was, but at that time, what was he doing?
At the time of this,
Yes.
he is the president up here.
Okay.
By down here, he's an old man who's retired.
Okay.
Yes?
About how much did he pay for them?
You know, I do not remember the
4
numbers.
cents an acre.
It was, this is it.
Incredibly low.
The total cost was millions of dollars, but he also got millions of acres. And when you broke it down, it was cents to the acre. And close, it was a steal. It was a steal.
It is.
Okay. So on the next page, guys and gals, I just want you to know this is more of what we're skipping over in the Southwest, where remember Spain had settled there. They explored Spain and colonized in the Southwest. Well, they've still been doing things during this whole revolutionary period. And we start to have a little border problem. Who owns what land down in Texas? They don't have a Mexico-U.S. line down there yet. They're having some land struggles. So you'll just notice that there's a Texas Revolution. And if you've ever heard of the Alamo, that's when the Alamo took place. There's a gold rush map. And then the next one is showing the major trails that people traveled as they went westward. Carmen?
Oh, I have a question about the United States, 1820. So what was the Adams Treaty thing? Like what was that about? Yeah.
The Adams-Otis Treaty of 1819. I do not know. Do not know. Okay.
So the gold rush, the gold was there before they actually discovered it. It's just that, I guess it was left behind. Do you know who could have left it behind or how it could have?
The gold that was found in California was just naturally occurring gold. You know, because gold comes out of the earth. It is an ore. And no red man, no Indian had discovered it. So it was just lying there in a creek bed, and suddenly this guy named John Sutter discovers it on his own property. Taylor?
Look at it, it's a Sutter store.
Yes, yes.
And they also have the Louisiana, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Missouri.
There you go. So Haywood has done a really nice job of summarizing the difference from before Louisiana Purchase to after. There are a bunch of new states in the midsection, aren't there? Kids, will you please look at the lower map on 28? Will you please find North Carolina on that map? Hover there already. Now, when you run your finger down to Florida, does it belong to the US yet? No. Run your finger up to, remember Maine? Remember how we said Maine did not exist? Do you notice a word in the state of Maine up there? What does disputed mean?
It's like people argue over it. There's no agreement to whose land it is. So my guess is Great Britain said it's ours, and we said no, it's ours.
There you go. It's a little bit unclear. So kids, here's something I'd like to say about this map. I am mad at them for putting it in. Because Maine did not exist until the Civil War. Maine becomes a state in the 1860s. So this is a map of 1820. That should have been labeled. Yep.
Oh wait.
You know what?
828. No, 128.
Yeah.
I think you confused me for a second. I thought
Okay.
it was bigger. Sorry.
Okay. So are you good with me? 1820, Maine didn't really exist yet. It's still part of Massachusetts because it was part of Massachusetts Bay Colony. But now, if you will turn to page 30, I wanted you to just see some of the Civil War era maps, because later you might find a reason to look something up on one of these. What's the first map on the top of 30 about? Tim? All right, so you guys have already been hitting me with some of these questions about which states were slave and which were free. But do you notice that there's a third category on this map? It's territory. So here's what I want you to know, guys. Whenever you see the word territory on a map, what it means is that somebody owns it and they probably are trying to figure out what to do with it. So most of the territories are going to become states pretty soon. And oftentimes they would take one territory and slice it and dice it into several different states. Now, do you notice how Kansas is kind of all by itself over there? It's a free state, but it has territories to the left, or I should say to the west, north, south, and then to the east of them, what do they have? A slave state, Missouri. So we're going to hear about something called Bloody Kansas. And it's because some of the demonstrations that start going on around our country, anti-slavery. Remember, your First Amendment right is you can petition your government for redress of grievances. So people were increasingly going to Washington and going to their state representatives and their senators, writing letters to the president saying, I am against slavery. I believe slavery should be abolished. Those sorts of things. And so any new state was going to have to declare, when they wrote their constitution, is it legal to have slaves in the state? Or is it not? And in Washington, D.C., the Congress is getting all torn in half. Because some of those people want slavery and many do not. Zach?
Why is Maine spelled with an E?
That's how they abbreviated it, ME, because there are so many other M states. Minnesota is MI, Massachusetts is MA, Montana is C. Every M state has to start with M that ends with something else. And it doesn't, it doesn't mean Maine like primary. Yeah, it's not like that. I'm not sure where the word Maine is. No?
So about the Texas Revolution, did we invade Texas? I thought it was the people in Texas decided to free themselves from the Mexicans, basically to say, oh, we don't like New Mexico, we're going to go be a U.S. state. So they freed themselves and they came to us saying, can we be a state?
If you are interested in that, there's some really good pages in our social studies textbook.
Yeah, we were watching a really cool show about the Spanish American War the other day. It's really interesting.
Why is there Kansas but not Arkansas? Like there's Arkansas, but why isn't it Arkansas? Like
Some people call it.
Yes,
Alright, I forgot. So, which one was the song? I always forget it.
Haywood is asking one of our really fundamental vocab questions, and over the next few days, I'm going to ask all of you to start figuring out some basic vocab. So it's like, what color did each side wear? What did each side call itself? What kind of flag did each country have? And so on and so forth. And given where we are in our time today, I don't want to start a mini Lego with notes. And here's what I would like for you guys to do. Can I have your eyes on the screen for one moment, and then we're going to open up our computers and go back. All right, on my Civil War page, this one is looking pretty clean and clear. This is just for poking around and seeing what you can see. How many of you tried this one? Did you find anything interesting?
Yes. Not yet.
Not yet. Some of you, yes. Some of you, okay. Anybody tried interactive maps? Do you recommend them?
Yeah.
Okay, you really do need to have your speakers on, and you need to have time to explore these because they're tricky to use, but once you get into it, you would love this. This is more like about the military strategy, and it's like when Lee brings his people out, and then it pushes the others back, but then they come around the other side. It's all that stuff. It's really cool. Battle Animations is one of those. War Commanders and Who Am I? My class went straight for the Who Am I, and that was fine. It's kind of fun. So kids, here's another one, and this one is all messed up, so I wanted to show it to you. This is one that I put to sleep last year, and everything was fine. There's a learning target, there are directions for a project, there's a reminder, there's a nice picture, and here's where the weirdness begins. I have a link up here, see it? Then take a look. I don't want you to miss this. Somehow my picture would not move, and it just pushed some links over. So this is what caused the Civil War video, and it's 3:45. And here's another one: the causes of the Civil War. Perfect here. So there are bunches of these, and kids, if you look at the links of those, this is going to be your class work for the better part of next week. Bring a device every day. Bring note-taking materials every day. You're going to be working on a research project and learning details about the causes of the Civil War. Does anybody remember doing a similar thing? Yes. What do you remember? Just trying to find out who's been awake all year long. What do you remember about a similar project then? There you go. So this is what historians do. They always look at causes. How about if I zip my lip and give you 8 more minutes to explore links or books or So Taylor has just reminded me that I avoided talking about the field trip. I'll tell you everything that I know as of now. There's no school for students, and when there's no school for students, there are no buses, and so you're not going as a school field trip. That's all I'm able to talk to you about right now. Obviously, I have some work to do to see if we have any alternatives, and I will get back with you as soon as I know. So please do not ask me on a daily basis, have you figured it out? Have you figured it out? There also may be a work in the plans by some parents who are figuring out a way that maybe you can go on the 16th, but maybe it's not a school field trip, because I'll be here working. And so will Ms. Marzullo. So the teachers would not be able to accompany you. Exactly. Hold down. Do your best to, because if there is something in there, they'll work it out.
Wait.
Pursue all those questions.
Oh, my balls. They are tasty. Okay. There's a light on. I wonder why. Dude, nobody's gonna watch.
Are your streams all listed?
What?
Do your like streams like go onto your videos, or do they just automatically?
No, they're public. No.
Streaming in school for like the 5th time. Do you remember that time when you were like with the computer
Yeah.
to remind you like oh shoot.
You're like, dude, your computer's over there. That's a movie. Oh, what is this?
Things like that. This song right right next to each other.
Why?
What? Aiden,
What?
I saw this and it says immigration. I was like, imagination.
Who am I? I don't know. Who am I?
Get carrots for handles. And I picked it up and put it where you know where, and Calvin pulled on it and he went no, and the carrot came off of the end, so I was running around with this like spaghetti. No. Yes, I want to learn about the God, wait, stop. I'm getting tested.
This is weird.
I thought that was a keyboard. I was like, dude, my dad has a keyboard. My dad has a keyboard. That's the gun that's the gun that John Wilkes Booth used to assassinate President Lincoln. It's a what? It shoots a lead bullet about this big.
So, dude,
Maybe about this big. So I read a book about it, and it's a one-shot gun. He walked up behind Lincoln, held it to his head, and then fired, and it got right behind his head. Wait, that's how powerful that gun is. So,
Are you guys doing is that doing
yeah.
wait, so the bullets.
So if he was born in 1850 and it was 1842 model, would that mean it wouldn't be evidence? Because he could have used it like whatever.
When he was a 2-year-old.
No, he was born in 1850 and it's an 1842 model. I think it's this one. Oh. Cool.
My watch is telling me to get off.
You're correct. This dude is ugly.
Yeah. Steps.
This is a female.
They're like so precise. It doesn't matter. No, that's how much you have left. Oh. What?
That one was easy. Dude, look at this dude.
So we didn't finish. Oh, that one's. Oh no, that one's not. Get up. The Yankees so I don't know. I'm going to look at my memory topic.
Dude, somebody actually watched. You're in school? Why are you streaming it tonight?
Oh, yeah, it's okay. So she showed us, and it has lines. So you're making a book shape, like a circle, of course, and it's about the Civil War, and there's different parts to it. And you can put as many parts as you want, and you can put like the topic, and then you can put like when, where, and then a summary of it.
Well, we can show her. I'm gonna ask her on Tuesday. Well, it's whenever we want. It's extra credit.
Yeah, it's extra credit.
Noah, this is where we're getting closer in. Okay. This is where we can see railroads. They would bring boxcars full of soldiers and cannons and cannonballs. We have the red and the blue. Stonewall Jackson up here.
Stonewall. They kept getting moved back. Go ahead, do that.
Why do I always do this? Why do I always do this?
Did you see that last animation where it was like a million Union
They all say hi.
really bad. Hello! And like
What's
zero
that?
Confederate casualties.
They were all